Welcome to the Deal Champs podcast. I'm your co-host, Stratton Brown, aka Mr. Strat Daddy. Quick story. We are so excited to have Henry Washington on here, man, because
Let's
that
go.
was one of our biggest meetups we've ever had, is when Henry came
It
out.
was.
And it
Yeah.
was so good to build a relationship with him. We've done a couple other things with him. So stoked. But we'll start off with this podcast. We want to show you guys how to take different things that we learned from all of our speakers and guests and implement it in your business and go make boatloads of money. Because every single guest we talk to, we get to take a whole bunch to where they could charge for it or anything else, and we get to go implement that in our day-to-day lives and in our businesses. And that's what we want to do for you. Real quick about me, my name is Stratton Brown. Over the last 3 years, we've scaled 2 different businesses to 7 figures. I own a 7-figure real estate portfolio, and my goal is to help you guys invest in real estate. Jason's going to say it, Dean's going to say it, Henry's going to say it. Real estate has absolutely changed my life and given me an opportunity when I had nothing else to do. We have the Captain America here with the blue background and the shield in the room, Mr. Dean Rogers.
Let's go. What's up, everybody? So Dean Rogers here, transitioned from the NFL to corporate to real estate. Been investing in real estate for a decade now in Central California. Just broke the 600 deal mark. So 600 deals.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy. Rental portfolio, almost $10 million, all single family homes, and coaching students with the wholesaling playbook. And then you guys can always connect with me at deanrogers.com.
Mr. Master of Hair. The hair's out today, by the way.
Out today, boys.
It's ready to go.
I had to get ready for our special guest here today, man. I had to pull the hair out. What's up, guys? This is Jason Pritchard. I'm your other co-host. Quick backstory on me. I worked in corporate America for about 15 years. Hated my job. Always wanted to do real estate. Burned the boats completely in 2014. Haven't looked back since. We flipped close to 400 properties. I own a rental portfolio of just over 100 units here in Central California. And my goal and our goal with this podcast is to try to transfer all of the things that we've learned, all the skills that we've developed over our real estate journeys to you guys that are listening. Super excited to have Henry on the podcast today. Again, returning guest to the Deal Champs team, man. We appreciate you coming on, Henry.
Oh, man. Y'all are amazing, man. I really, really appreciate you. I loved coming out to Fresno. Both times that I got to go out there and speak, how you're able to fill a room says a lot about who you guys are as people and investors. You know, you've got a community of people that support you, trust you. You have people from all over the country flying in to come hang out with y'all for just a meetup. Like, we weren't even talking about the event. Like, it was just a meetup. Like, you get people flying in from all over the country to come hang out. So that's a testament to the kind of genuine, good people that you are. And I love genuine, good people. So whenever y'all need me, I'm there. I don't think I've said no to you yet.
You found a way, man. You found a way each time.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. And we give all of our guests a nickname, and your nickname is Mr. Bakersfield.
Hey, I'll take that. I'll take that, man. I'll take that. When I told you, go do it. If you do an event in Bakersfield, just say the word. I'm there, man. I'd love to go.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that with you guys, because Henry wants to do a beat up down in Bakersfield since he really is from Bakersfield.
I thought you were going to call him Teddy Bear or something like that. You know, like I didn't know
right. I mean, the teddy bear fits, bro. The teddy bear fits. The man with the biggest heart I've ever met in my life.
Oh, thank you,
Henry. Tell us a little bit about you. 20,000-foot view.
Oh man, 20,000-foot view. I am a real estate investor, real estate coach, and now almost published author. I just finished writing the manuscript for my very first published book. I met Stratton officially at a book writing seminar. Like, that was the first time I really got to talk to him and know who he is. When we're learning how to write a book from old Robert. What was his name?
Robert Allen.
Robert Allen.
Is that where we met? Is Robert Allen's event in Salt Lake?
Yeah. So my first book is officially that I just finished writing it. So it's got to go through editing and print and all that stuff. So it'll be a few months before it comes out. But cool. So now add author to the tagline. But I'm a real estate investor with, gosh, man, we just hit about 100 and just under 120 rental units, and we flip about flip about 15 to 20 houses a year. Portfolio just, let's see, we did, and so between my two businesses, they're both probably 7-figure businesses. So it's been a crazy ride, man. But that's me in a nutshell. I buy everything and then I'll figure out what to do with it after.
But Henry, are you releasing your book with Bigger Pockets?
I am. Yes, Bigger Pockets
Publishing. I think that
Publishing.
is like the book deal of the century, because now I feel
Right?
like that's like the ultimate stamp.
Yes, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that is the ultimate
dude.
stamp in the space.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Bigger Pockets. It's a real estate deal maker. It's the title.
Nice.
So what is?
Dude, I was just going to add. I wanted to say one thing. You touched on it, Stratman, as we were getting going. Henry touched on it too, but just to kind of set the tone for the audience here. So, Strat, I think you were the first person to meet Henry. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're the first person to meet Henry, and just to paint a picture for everybody, as Jason, Stratton, and myself were all aligning in Central California on, all right, we want to like join forces. We want to add more value to our community. We want to bring more people together and help build this together. And we met December of 2021. December of 2021. 2022 was really us setting things off and working together, right? And it was the first time Jason, Stratton, and myself were working together. At the very beginning of 2022, I want to say it was March, right? The very first event we had together, we had some separate events, January and February, but our first event together was collectively putting an event together in Fresno. Stratton reached out to Henry as our guest speaker, and we had like 250 plus people show up to this random Tuesday or Thursday, whatever day of the week it was. And this event room at this hotel was packed. Like it was like spilling out. Like we didn't have enough room. And Henry had everybody in his hands as he was talking about his story. And like people were crying and like people were just like laughing. Like
I was one of the people crying, but yes,
right.
Yeah.
Everybody was like so moved. And I was like, dang, this is a cool ass dude, man. Like you hardly even talked about real estate. You just talked about like your life and how real estate was a part of that. So that was such a huge thing. It helped really set things off for the year for us, helped add value to our community. And then just to like come full circle again, as we did our first big event later that year in November, we had Pace Morby, we had Jamil Damji, and I remember you had seen me on a flight where you landed in San Diego. You texted me like, hey, did I just see you on that flight? And then we were like, as soon as you text me, I text Stratton and Jason. I'm like, we need to get Henry to this event. And I text you. You made it work around your daughter's birthday, but you made it to the event. And we had 600 plus people at that event, at our very first big event. And it was insane. And you were a big part of both of those events. And we definitely thank you, man.
No, man, y'all are amazing, man. Thank you. I'm glad I could be a small part of what you guys are building.
Real quick, let's highlight some more stuff about him though. Like how we bought people how we bought people's mentorships on stage.
Henry bought
and he changed this woman's life.
And it wasn't my mentorship.
It wasn't his mentorship either.
Yeah.
He bought someone else's mentorship, was like, I got you. I'll take care of you. And changed that person's life.
Yeah.
And you would never know. Again, the man with the biggest heart I have ever met. I'm a huge fanboy.
Thank you.
Huge fan. Huge fan.
Big. But Henry, bro, what's it been like since you came out to the last big event over this last year? What have you been working on in your business as far as, has anything changed?
Oh, yeah.
Have you stuck to the single family space and how we were talking about that? I mean, you have a lot more units than when last time we talked.
Yeah. Yeah. Business has changed from the perspective of the market's changed. And so like, Dean played sports. He gets it. Stat, you played sports. Jason, did you play sports? Were you a sports guy?
Yeah, basketball.
Bro, he's too short.
Me and you were cool.
That's
me and you. Me and I was a hooper. I was a hooper too. I didn't play football, but yeah, man. You know, in sports we say you take what the defense gives you, right? You know, in real estate you got to do the same thing, right? You take the opportunities that the market is giving you, and so two things have happened since I saw you guys. I realized that I needed to hire a team or scale back because I was growing to the point where I couldn't do it all anymore. And so I had to make a decision on, did I want a business that was large enough to have several employees, or did I want to just keep a small operation that my wife and I could handle? And then I had to, figure out a strategy that works with the market conditions that we have now. And so since we met, I've started to hire a team. I now have an acquisitions manager. I was doing all my own acquisitions when I met you guys. I now have a project manager managing all my rehabs, because what happens is cool people like y'all ask me to come do stuff, and I just want to go do it. And then I get back and I'm like, well, this flip is exactly in the same condition it was in before I went to that speaking event. So I need somebody to make sure my projects actually move if I'm going to be out of town. So I've got an acquisitions manager, a project manager. Those have been great hires. I have a social media manager. I don't know if she was on my team when I first came to see y'all, but she handles all my social media and kind of marketing from that perspective. And that has allowed me to increase my deal flow so we can do more deals. And that is extremely timely, because right now, everything in the market is telling me that I need to be buying as much as possible, as quickly as I can. And so every year, I typically had a modest goal of adding between 10 and 20 doors to my portfolio and doing about the same amount of flips that I normally do, because I just didn't want to grow super quick, and I was just comfortable in that space. But when you start hiring people, you realize that you need to grow your business, not for you, but you got people's families depending on you to pay their bills and feed themselves. And so I want to make sure that we're doing enough volume that keeps them happy and fed. But I also want to capitalize on this opportunity. And so once the rates kind of hit the top, or right around that's 8% rate, I was like, I'm doubling my portfolio in the next 12 months. I want to, at the end of the next 12 months, I want to have at least, I had 100 doors about that time, and I want to be at 200 doors by the time in the next 12 months. And so we've already closed on 20 in the last, 60 days, and I've got another 20 under contract.
So expand on that for us, Henry, because I feel like the narrative that's getting pushed right now feels like the exact opposite sentiment of what you're talking about now. So there's a lot of people watching that are sitting on the sidelines afraid to jump in. And then you're saying we're going to double. We're going to go from 100 to 200 doors. So what are the things that you are seeing that can give some insight to some of the people that are maybe on the fence and afraid to jump in?
You're going to get me on my high horse, man. Man, look, this is an unprecedented time in real estate. We've never seen this before as real estate investors. If you are an investor in real estate, this is what you've been waiting for, like a market like this. And it's like the media has created this narrative that has made it a great time to buy, because there's two themes out there that people are, saying all the time that that is scaring people, right? Interest rates are high and housing prices are high, right? And so because people think interest rates are high, it keeps people from wanting to get in and buy properties. And because people think housing prices are high, it keeps them from wanting to get in and buy properties. But I don't believe either one of those things is true. I don't think interest rates are high, because if you look at interest rates historically, they're pretty normal. If you look back 10, 20, 30 years at interest rates, you'll find that a 7.5% interest rate is like a regular interest rate. Like 2 and 3% interest rate was inflated. It was artificial. It was in a response to a global crisis, right? Like it wasn't real. And so people got used to that, and now they don't want to buy when the interest rates are at 7 and 8. And I get it from the perspective of, if you could barely afford a home at 2 and 3% interest, it's a heck of a lot harder for you to do that now. Like, I'm not saying that's not true, but what I'm saying is, if you look at the data, a 7% interest rate is fairly normal. My parents had a way higher interest rate than that, right? Like before the pandemic, when I just started investing, my interest rates were in the sixes, right? Like high sixes. Like it's just what it was.
Me too.
So, but because the perception is that it's high, that limits your competition, right? Because the perception is that the prices are high, it limits your competition. But prices aren't high. I would argue that prices are low, right? Because if the Fed does what people are thinking they're going to do, well, said differently, the rates will come down. They may not come down tomorrow or in 3 months or in 6 months or even a year or 2 years, but at some point they'll come down a little bit, right? And when they do, people will get off the sidelines and they'll start to buy, right? Because the perception will be that it's a better time to buy. But we know in the United States, there's an inventory problem. There's not enough houses available for the people who want to buy them. There's not enough single family homes available for the people who want to live in them, whether they want to rent them or buy them. So that means when people get off the sidelines, everybody's bidding on the same limited amount of inventory, which is going to drive the price even higher. So if you think the price is high now, wait 5 years, wait 3 years, wait 2 years. It is low now. And we've never seen a time in real estate where you can buy property with very limited competition at a low price ever. When has that happened? It's never happened. So this window is a small window because the second the Fed starts to show some consistency with lowering that rate, everybody's going to start buying. And it's going to be, and so people are going to buy the same house they would be looking to buy now, but they're scared to buy it at a 7.5% interest rate. They're going to end up buying it at a 6.5 or 5.5% interest rate, but they're going to pay 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% more for that property. I'd much rather buy a house at a lower price and a higher interest rate than a higher price and a lower interest rate, because I can always refinance that thing when the rates come down.
So Henry, I feel like you're in a unique position because you're a host on Bigger Pockets and you get to talk with a lot of different entrepreneurs. And as we've watched you through your journey, you continue to get into, smaller circles with bigger names who have different insights. And so I think it's interesting to hear what you're sharing, which I think we'd agree with you, right? I think Jason Stratton and I would agree with you on a lot of what you're saying. You got to be careful what you're listening to in the headline news. The action you're taking in the past 60 days, you said, is pretty serious. That's pretty awesome. That's some big moves right there. Yep. Right. I'm curious, given everything that you've said, and I feel like I know that all of us have been in real estate since everything has come up on an upward trajectory since 2008. With the conversations you're having, is there anybody who's maybe more seasoned than us, or maybe is more into the data that says, hey, look, be careful, there could be a market crash?
Not one person. not one person. Now, I'm not saying prices might not come down a little bit before, or I'm not saying interest rates may not go up even a little bit more before they start to come down. And I'm not saying I'm going out here and buying bad deals. Like, I'm not buying bad deals. I can negotiate better pricing and terms right now because there's no competition. Sellers, if you think about this market right now, if somebody's selling right now in a market where there's not a lot of buyers and during the holidays, you think those people need to sell, or do you think they want to sell?
Yeah, they're fucked.
Nobody's selling right now just because, let me see what I can get. Let me see if I'll get me something good out there. Like, that's not what's happening right now. If it's for sale right now, they most likely need to sell and are having a tough time. And so you can come in and you can name your price and you can name your contingencies and you can set all the things up that you want in place. And if they say no, then you move on to the next one and make another offer. Like, it's not going to be like this forever. And so if people need to sell, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to buy at a price point that makes sense for me. And if I can get something to cash flow now, even just a little bit, if you're cash flowing even a little bit at a 9% interest rate, what do you think it's going to do at a 5 or a 6?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not buying bad. Don't go buy anything. Buy a decent deal because you can make a decent deal right now.
Henry, what are the people and like all these really, really big people saying about multifamily? Because I do think that's going to be an absolute
that is
bloodbath.
A whole different ball game.
I think it's like the end of the world for a lot of these syndicators.
Yeah, maybe. But there's such an opportunity right now. So if you want to get into multifamily, like,
Now's the time.
Get your ducks in a row. Like, be ready to buy. So I think the winners in multifamily are going to be cash buyers, right? So people who are maybe out there where you are in California land, who maybe sold a business or sold some big real estate projects, are going to be able to go into places like where I live in Arkansas or Missouri or Oklahoma or, these places, and buy some large scale multifamily properties that were purchased in the 2020-21 timeframe at a 2 and 3% interest rate on a 5 or on a 3-year balloon, because that balloon is coming due now, and that property is not going to cash flow at 8.25% interest rate, right? And so the bank is going to say, well, you got to do something. And so you're going to be able to then, if you're a cash buyer, you can scoop those things up at a discount, because you can go to that bank and say, hey, I'll buy that for 50 cents on the dollar. And they'll be like, please get it off my books, right? Or start, if you don't have the cash, because not everybody sold $1 million business and can go do this, right? So if you don't have the cash, you need to be networking with your local community banks in the markets where you want to buy this property and building that relationship. Because as they start to take these properties back, they don't want multifamily deals on their books. Like, it's not like they're taking back a single family home that they can just go stick on the market and sell to somebody else. Like, that's a big problem for them. And so if you can have those relationships, let them know, hey, if you start taking some of these things back, right, I want to work with you on some terms that might make sense for you. So then you can discount the price, get creative on the rate and the terms that you're going to take over that loan at. You bring in your partners, and you can capture some of these amazing deals that they're going to take back. But you're going to have that relationship. They're going to have to know why they want to sell that to you. So you got to be positioning yourself now if you want to buy some of those, because some of them, you're right, Strat, them deals are coming back for a lot of people.
And it's been blowing up like this whole year. Like, I've heard crazy stories of dudes in very, very tumultuous situations. I've had several investors. I know that personally, an investor friend of mine was looking at an apartment deal in the Arizona market, and it was underwritten, at a 3% interest rate, and the cash flow numbers were crazy, and the market started to shift right about that time. And they ended up not closing on the deal because the value of the property went down so significantly just in the amount of time when the rate started to go up, that they didn't close on it, but they lost a substantial EMD deposit. So, but it was worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it. That was the best lost money they ever had, I guarantee you.
Yeah. That's 100%. So, Henry, now with like how much reach you have and like being on BP, do you have people banging down your door saying, take my money? I think about that.
I wouldn't say they're banging down my door, but I also wouldn't say it's hard to go find the money if I want to go raise private capital. I probably don't leverage my network and reach for that as much as I should. I don't know, but yes, I can. If I need to raise money, especially if I specialize in just finding really great deals. Like, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to find a good deal. I don't care what the market's doing, up market, down market. I'm going to find good deals. And it doesn't matter if you have a reach or no reach. If you got a good deal, all you got to do is tell 1 or 2 investors, and they're going to throw money at you.
Yeah. What's your take on the market and where the best opportunities are? Because I feel like you and I are similar in the way that we approach where we spend our time. Like, I'm a local guy. I want to spend all my time in my local market. I get teased about, ooh, let's go to this market, expand, grow, all these things. But I'm like, I want to go deeper in my market. I want to be even more familiar and consistent in my market. So how are you with like how you approach like your strategy around that?
Man, I'm a backyard investor. Part of my superpower is I know my market. I know it well. I know what's coming in the future. I know where it's going to be. I know how to go and find the properties in those areas prior to those things getting here. I know the economy. I know, like, it's just like, I don't have that level of expertise somewhere else. And so if I were going to go and be an investor somewhere else, I would have to partner with somebody who has that level of expertise in order for me to want to be as successful as I can be in my backyard. Now, I am fortunate enough to live in a market that has extremely good market dynamics in terms of economy and pricing. I live in a market where I get the best of both worlds. We get great cash flow and great appreciation. Most markets you get great one and okay the other, right?
Yep.
I get great both.
Ooh, don't tease me. Don't tease me.
I get great
I'm gonna
both,
start looking.
but you know, everybody's got a superpower, right? And so there are some people who live in a market and don't understand their own market, and so that you know, it may make sense for you to go, and especially if that market's expensive, it may make sense for you to go find a market that because you're going to have to spend the time learning wherever you're going to invest. And if you're not an expert in your market yet, then you can go somewhere else. But there's like cheat codes to being able to learn and understand a market and where to buy. A lot of people smarter than me have already done the research on what markets are cool. You just got to find those people and follow behind them.
Henry, are you still like a B class and above investor? I remember when we were talking, you're like, at this point, cash flow's cool, but I really don't need the money. And I'd rather have an easier life and an easier portfolio to manage having B class and above.
I learned that on a tough deal I did, that cash flow was crazy good, but it ended up being a nightmare property. And when I sold it, it was probably one of the best feelings I ever had in real estate. I was getting rid of that property, even though it made a bunch of money. Yeah, man. I still like taking, you know, crap properties and turning them into beautiful properties in my neighborhood, but not turning them into properties that the people within that current neighborhood can't afford. Right. And so I don't want to price people out of their neighborhood. I want to make their neighborhood more desirable for them and allow them more housing within their current environment that they don't have to leave. And so I will buy C class and D class properties. Typically, if it's a D class, I'm probably going to flip it. I may not hold on to it. Right now, I would hold on to it just because I think when rates come down, values are going to go up and I can sell that thing for a premium later. But if I'm going to do something that I'm going to hold for, you know, you start to learn when you get in this business. Most people get in this business because they're like, if I can create cash flow, I can make enough money every month to quit my job, right? And that's the only thing they're focused on. They're like, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. Got to quit my job. Got to get to financial freedom. Got level 1 financial freedom. But then you get into real estate and you realize a couple of things. One, cash flow is a myth. Two, real wealth is not built through cash flow. Real wealth is built through equity and appreciation. And the depreciation you get from your tax benefits, right? Like that's where the real wealth is. And so, yes, I want a property to cash flow. Of course I do. But I was talking about this last night in my mastermind with my students. A guy was looking at a deal where the cash flow was going to be negative by about $100 a month for the first year to year and a half. And he was like, he wasn't going to buy the deal. And I'm like, well, let's look at the whole picture of this property, right? Like, it's not about, is it just going to cash flow? It's about what else is this property going to give you? So for me, every single property I buy, I'm going to do a cost segregation. So every single family I buy and hold on to right now that I cost seg saves me about between 20 and 50 grand a year in my tax bill. So I care about it. Let me say it to you different. If I said, if you give me $100 a month, Stratton, I will guarantee I will reduce your tax bill by 50 grand this year. What you
no
gonna
brainer. It's free money. Brotch just posted about this the other day.
You're going to give me $100 a month, right? And so just on that alone, I'm like, buy the property, right? But the second thing is do the research. So what has that market done in terms of appreciation year over year for the last 5 years? Pull the data. We look at the data. It's going up 10% per year, right? What has that market done in rent growth year over year? And then do the math. How much is that per year in rent growth? So he could get $1,800 a month rent right now. Next year, he could probably get somewhere between $19,000 to $2,000. The next year, $2,100 to $2,200, right? So if you're going to increase your rent by $100 to $200 per year, you're going to get 10% equity year over year, and you're going to save 50 grand on your taxes. You're telling me $1,200 a year that it's going to cost you? You wouldn't pay that to have those benefits? I'll pay it. Send me the deal.
Henry, have you struggled at all with, as you've grown your portfolio, selling off some of those D and C class properties? I know when I got into the business, we have like this target, I want to hit 100. And then you realize, damn, some of these ones are not properties that I want to own. So have you trimmed the herd a little bit as your portfolio has grown?
Yeah, man, trimming the fat is essential. I think part of real estate growth that nobody really talks about, yes, growing your portfolio is great, but growing your portfolio can also mean finding the dollars within the current portfolio that you have. So maybe growing your portfolio means turning some of your long-term rentals into short-term and mid-term rentals where it strategically makes sense, where those things are doing well. Maybe it means adding an amenity or two to your property, or strategically doing a renovation that's going to get you increased rent, right? Like if I can go buy a property and I'm only going to get a 5 or 6% cash on cash return, but I can spend 10 grand and upgrade my kitchen and bathroom, and then I'm going to get an increased rent by a substantial percentage, I might get a better return on my money in not buying the new property and just doing the renovation on a couple existing properties, right? And so that too is growth. You're making more money. You're getting a better cash on cash return. But yeah, Jason, I wanted to do the thing that, like, all the old investors, the guys that are retiring right now, they'll tell you, I wish I never sold anything, right? Yeah. And that's always easy to say, hindsight. And I wanted to be that guy. And then 2021, the rates, the value started to go through the roof, and I'm looking at these few properties I got where the maintenance is kicking my butt, and I thought I was going to cash flow, but I'm not cash flowing because I had to put a new roof and a new HVAC and a new hot water heater. And I'm sitting here like, I could sell this thing and I could make $120,000 of profit. How many months of cash flow would it take me to get to 120,000? Exactly. I know, too many. Yeah, sold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me, I want to hear the details behind the statement that cash flow was a myth, because I have to agree with that. But that's such a great way to put it. Tell us the realness of what it is to buy cash flowing rentals. Why is it a myth?
If you start to do anything at scale, you're going to realize that some of your properties are going to cash flow, and they're going to cash flow amazing. And some of your properties aren't going to cash flow because the maintenance is going to bust you upside the head, right? Like, stuff just happens, guys. Like, things fall apart that you don't expect them to. I've replaced HVAC units that were only a couple of years old. And on the same token, I have a house that was built in like 68 that has the same HVAC that it was put into it when it was originally built. And that thing runs solid, right? Like, stuff just happens. And so you end up making cash flow on some properties, losing cash flow on some other properties. And you look at your taxes at the end of the year, and you're like, well, I really didn't make that much cash flow, right? It felt like it throughout the year because your bank account kept getting hit with rent payments. But when you look at your entire P&L across the whole year, you start to realize, and then you just like, I don't know about y'all, but like, I'll be like, man, I have 116 units. Why do I feel like my bank account's always empty? Like, where is this money at?
Where's the money at?
It's and so I say it's a myth because it's not like I got my rent this month and now I can take that $300 of cash flow and I can go pay this bill with that $300 of cash flow. Like that, in theory, that's what we think when we get started, but it's not like that. You make some cash flow on some properties, you lose some cash flow on some properties, and then at the end of the year, you can look and see how well you did. But month over month, it just doesn't feel like you're raking in all this money that you're using to pay your life's expenses, first of all. And second of all, I don't think you should do that. I don't spend my cash flow. It just gets reinvested.
Talk about the importance, Henry, of having like an acquisitions arm to your business, which I think a lot of us have this model, right? We have a deal finding arm that not only allows us to like cherry pick the very best deals for us, but also brings in big chunks of cash. So then we don't have to cannibalize the rental bank account.
That's 100%.
And I think a lot of people like just want to start building the rental portfolio, and they have this kind of vision of like, well, I'll just get 30 rentals that throw off, X amount of dollars a month, and then I can quit. And it just doesn't ever work out like that. Right. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, 100%, man. I realized early on that like I needed to have a mix in my business. Yes, rental properties is the way to wealth long term, but it is a long term game. I'm not saying that cash flow is a myth, so you shouldn't go buy a rental property. You absolutely should. Like, you got to, I've only been doing this since 2017. Like, I haven't even got to the good part yet.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get good until 10, 15 years down the road when those things are really, because your first 7 years is all interest, right? The banks take their interest on the front. Like, once those things, after 15 years, and you start to really see, oh snap, this thing is paid down substantially, and I got a ton of equity, and like that's like, I haven't got to the good part yet. And so like I realized, I'm like, all right, well, if I don't want to actually live off this cash flow, I got to make money some other way. And that means I can't hold everything. So it's a mix of turning deals through flips or wholesales. I don't do assignments, but I do wholesale. So I'll buy, like, I literally just signed a contract for a deal I purchased about a month ago, and I'm selling it to another investor, and I haven't done a thing to it. So like that stuff, those are my, man, that's a win. So I can generate money through my acquisitions arm. So if I'm consistently hunting for deals, because I never ever turn off my deal finding machine. It doesn't matter how busy my plate is. It doesn't matter if I can't get to a single thing that I'm looking to buy. I'm still going to keep looking for deals. Because that deal machine is a snowball. And if you stop it, it's going to take you a long time to get that thing going and spitting off deals again. And B, because it's a money machine. Like, why would you turn off a money machine, right? If you had a machine where you put in $4 and then 30 days later it gave you $40, you're never turning that machine off. You're going to try to figure out how to give it more than $4 at a time, right? Yeah. It's the same thing with my deal from of my acquisitions arm. Every time I feed it money to go and find me deals, it lands me a deal. So if I spend $5,000 a month on marketing and that lands me 2 deals, just 2 deals, and those 2 deals make me $50,000 each, that means I spent 5 to make 100. I'm trying to figure out how to go put more money in the front of that money machine. Why would you turn it off?
Yeah.
I think that was a great example for everybody to like really realize you do not want to cannibalize anything. Yeah. Let it be self-sustaining, then have something else coming in that you can actually use. This can go for your other businesses or whatever, but it's such an important principle because it eats away way faster than you think. Oh, gosh, because business takes so much cash.
Business is expensive. Business is expensive. That's what they say. You know, outside costs money. So does your business.
And it's full circle too. You talking about the depreciation because the rentals wash the tax liability out of the acquisitions arm. So it's just, you create this kind of circle of life, and it's just how fast can you rinse and repeat all of those deals, dude. And so I know all of us have similar kind of models set up for how we find properties and keep them. So I think that's an important part. That shouldn't be one or either or. It should be both, I think.
I agree.
Yep. I think you said something there that is what my partner has been telling me recently about the rentals. So my partner was experienced before we joined forces and became a partnership. And he has just been saying, like, the rentals that he bought before we got in business together are just now showing the fruits of their labor, right? And he's just like, now they're working out. Now I can start to pay myself. But all that time in between there, it was literally like doing nothing for me. And our bank account, we keep 6 figures in there just for like repairs that come up and other little things. We don't touch or pay ourselves anything from that account. And it seems like it goes down when the mortgage payments come out, and then it goes right back to the same exact place it was. Spot. Yes, maybe like $2 more after all the income from the rent comes in. It just keeps going like a yo-yo, like back and forth. But
it's so true. I've got my business partner now. We own like 25 units together. We haven't bought a thing in maybe 3 years. Like, we bought Hot and Heavy for 2 years together, and we haven't bought a thing since then. And so we don't touch our business bank account either. And every month it sits at about $50,000. It drops down to about 10 or 20 and then goes back up. It's like it never has more than that in it. And it's like, it's the game, man. It's a long game.
Yep.
Henry, what's been your biggest takeaway from being on Bigger Pockets? Like, your craziest person you interviewed, you're like, oh wow, that one's game changing.
Who's the craziest person I interviewed? I haven't interviewed a bunch of super high profile people yet. I would say the best part about being on Bigger Pockets and leveraging their network is um, the like the doors it opens for me in terms of like personal growth, right? Like it's like it's like what the blue check was before everybody could buy a blue check. Like if somebody sent you a message with a blue check, you were opening that thing and you were going to read it and you were going to talk to them and you were going to try to figure out, like I'm able, like people will answer my emails, right? People will hop on a call with me who in no other situation would have wanted to do that. People will take a meeting with me. People will allow me to just come and sit around and listen to them. It gets me into rooms and around people who are operating at a much higher scale than me, at a much better clip than me. Like I spent this past year basically being in rooms with Pace and Jamil and just becoming friends with them and learning what they do and watching how they run their business and do you, like what I've been able to learn just by being around. I didn't ask them for anything. All I tried to do was add value to them. I haven't asked them for a thing. I just want to be around them and find ways to help them. And I've learned so, and go figure, this year has been the year where my business has grown the most. Are those things a coincidence? I don't think so. Right. Like, and so would I have been able to just, fly to Phoenix and stay at Jamil's house and go hang out at Pace's house if I wasn't on Bigger Pockets? Probably not.
Yeah, it'd be a pretty big stretch.
Yeah.
What was your intent on social, dude, when you first started? Because I mean, obviously the trajectory that you've gone on and the run that you've gone on is crazy impressive. Bigger Pockets is like the platform that I think everybody goes on when they first, get exposed to real estate. So for you to be the host of that podcast and just, make this leap that you've made is crazy. Was that, I mean, were you thinking big like that when you first started? Were you very intentional about connecting with people? Did they just find you? How did all that work out?
I wish I was
literally
cool
about to ask that same question.
I wish I was cool enough to be able to say yes, that I had that kind of a plan and I had that kind of foresight. But no, that wasn't me, man. That was God's plan. That had nothing to do with me. Oh man. Okay. So try not to get emotional. So none of this was my plan. My plan and my goals. I remember my wife and I, we bought a goals book before we did our first real estate deal. The goals book was a book. It was just like a little notebook and it had pigs with wings on the front. And the whole concept was like, write the stuff in here that you would want to happen when pigs fly. Right. Mm-hmm. And like the big goal that I wrote in there for my real estate investing was I wanted to buy one house a year for the next 5 years, so that after 5 years I would own 5 houses that would supplement my retirement. Right. That was big. Like big that was like, if I do that, what? Like
I know, yeah.
Good will my life be?
Most people think.
Yep. And I did 5 deals in my first month. Like damn. But I remember, Jason, after I did that first deal, so I won't go into the full story, but 90 days before I bought my first property, I had a panic attack because like a legitimate real panic attack. I'm not using that just as a way of saying I freaked out. Like I had a legitimate panic attack, couldn't breathe, just sweating profusely, thought my world was ending because I couldn't provide financially for my new wife at the time. Started a Google search on how I can make extra money, learned that people buy real estate with no credit and no money. And I was like, if these regular Joe Schmoes figured it out, I got to be able to figure it out too. Went down a path of learning. 90 days later, bought my first house. I had bad credit. I only had $1,000 in my savings account, but I was able to buy an asset without using but $1,000 of my own money. And so like to go from freaking out and thinking my wife's going to figure out that I can't provide for her and she's going to leave me at some point, to 90 days later owning an asset that was paying me and paying for itself, paying me. And then the bank called me, Jason, and they said, hey, this was such a great deal. We want to give you a line of credit on the equity. so that you can use that equity to go buy more property. And to go from panic attack to 90 days later having an asset paying for itself, and then access to $25,000 so I could go buy more property. Like, I was so overwhelmed with like realizing that like this has changed my life and my family's financial future forever. Like, I found the thing that's going to take care of my family forever. And the first feeling I felt, Jason, it wasn't a feeling of happiness. Don't get me wrong. I was happy, but the feeling I was overwhelmed with was a feeling of responsibility. I just knew that God didn't lead me down this path and open all these doors and show me that I could do this with the limited resources that I had just so that I could learn how to be wealthy. I knew he did it because he wanted me to show other people that were struggling financially that you are so much closer to changing your life than you think you are. You just have to realize this is something that you can do, and you have to know how you can go do it. And so I said to myself, I have to share this with people. I just feel like that's what he's telling me to do, share it with people. And so I started my Instagram account not long after I closed my first deal, not because I wanted to be famous on the internet. Like, I didn't even know that that was the thing. Like, I didn't do social media like that. I was just like, I need to share this with people. I have no idea how to share anything with people. So I'll just put it on the internet because that's where people put stuff. And so I started an Instagram, and I just started sharing pictures of before and afters, and like just as much as I could, like with deals, because I was like, hopefully somebody sees it and realizes that this is something that they can do. And like, because I felt like I've been doing what I felt like God wanted me to do, it's just like door after door continues to open. I didn't try to get on Bigger Pockets. I just went to their conference one year and I screwed up. Jason, I showed up a day early because I had the dates wrong. And so I showed up to Nashville a day before the conference, and I'm just like wandering around this giant hotel by myself like a loser because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm just like twiddling my thumbs. And I come across some 6'7" guy standing in line for coffee, who was Brandon Turner.
Brandon Turner. Wow.
And I was like, I know you. And we sat down and we talked, and I told him my story. And this is right around the time when they had started the Rookie podcast. And I was like, look, man, I got 30 doors. I've been doing this for like 2 years, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I just want to continue to grow and help people. So if like you're needing guests or anything for the Rookie podcast, like you can, you should let me know. And he was like, 30 doors in 2 years, you're coming on my show. And I was like, what? And so like, I thought he was BSing. And then a couple of days after the conference, he reached out to me and set me up with the producer. And then I ended up getting on the show. My interview on Bigger Pockets was the second podcast interview I'd ever done. I didn't even know what I was doing. And then I just, I feel like the secret to life and success is not about us. It's about being of value to everybody you come across. And so I just tried to stay in touch with people and be of value and of service to them. And if somebody needs something, I try to figure out a way to help. And if I can't help, I try to connect them with somebody who can help. Right? Like David Green texted me today. Like, we don't talk that often. He texted me today and he said, hey, you're in Arkansas. Do you know an agent in Little Rock who can help me? I don't, but I know somebody who does. And I instantly connected him with somebody who can help him. Now, I could have lollygagged and did it later. I could have told him, no, I don't know anybody, right? I could have done all these things, but instead I figured out a way. How do I add value immediately by being of service to somebody? And that mindset has just helped open doors for me. And so when it was time for Brandon to retire and they needed somebody to fill in until they figured out what they were doing, they reached out to me and said, would you fill in for a few episodes? And I was like, just tell me where to be. Tell me where to be and I'll be there. I do the same thing for y'all. Like when you say, can you come do something? What do I say? Like, tell me where to be and when to be there. I didn't ask y'all for money. I didn't ask y'all to, I just said, tell me where to be and how to be there and how to add value to you. And I'm gonna go do it.
I love it, man. I think that's why we're so aligned, dude. I think it's really crazy, man. And I think that's why when we get together, we connect like that. And I know the other thing I think we share in common is like our dynamics with our wives and how important that spousal relationship has been. Yes, I've heard you speak a couple times in front of audiences, and you've pointed out how big of a piece that is, man. How would you even be doing this right now if it wasn't for your better half?
My wife is literally and figuratively the reason I am where I am right now.
Yeah.
There's two things that she did for me. One I tell about all the time. One I don't think I've ever told anybody. One that most people know is I didn't have the money for my first deal. I had to borrow that down payment. I didn't even know where to borrow it from. Somebody gave me the idea that I could borrow it from a 401k. I didn't know that was a thing, but you can borrow money from a 401k. You pay it back to yourself. It's your money. You pay it back with interest. I didn't have a 401k. I was so terrible with money. That wasn't even something I was contributing to, but my wife did. And so like I was this guy who had made poor financial decisions up to this point, went to my wife and said, can we borrow 20 grand from your 401k to buy this rental property that I just learned about how to do like 90 days ago? And she was like, yeah, say less, let's do it. Like, right. And so like in 2 weeks I had the money and we bought the house. So I literally would not have started investing in real estate without her and her money. But what a lot of people don't know is about 30 days prior to that happening, I met with a local business owner who owned a bunch of real estate, but also a bunch of other businesses, and told him that, you know, I was going to do real estate and I was going to be this investor. And like, I was so sure of it. And he was like, well, how much money do you have? And I was like, I don't have any money, but I'm going to figure it out. He was like, can I give you a piece of advice? Go make some money, because you ain't going to be able to do this without money. You're going to fall on your face. He was like, go figure out a way to make some money. Once you figure out a way to make some money, then you can talk about investing some of that money, but you don't have what you need to invest. And like, I just was so high up on this guy at the time, hearing it just kind of let all the wind out of my sail. Yeah. And I was like, maybe he's right. Maybe I can't do this. And I was like, I decided, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go figure out how to make some money. And I remember I talked to my wife about it, and I was kind of down about it. And she kind of walked out of the room, and she came back in a few minutes later and she said, no. She said, no, you made a decision that you were going to do this. You told me you were going to do this and you were going to be successful. Go do it. I don't care what he said. You're going to go do it. You up until this point, everything you've said has been that you're going to do this, and now you're going to go back on that because of some conversation you had with him. He was like, no, you're going to do it. And I said, okay. 30 days later, we got the lead, we got the deal, and our lives were changed forever. So literally and figuratively, wouldn't be here without her. She believed in me when nobody else did. She believed in me when I didn't believe in myself.
Powerful.
Best business decision I ever made was marrying her.
I think people underestimate that too. Like, your significant other is you cannot fight a battle at home and fight a battle in business at the same time, because business is hard enough as it is. You're going to get kicked in the balls all day. Then you cannot come home and then have to fight another battle. Having that significant other on board has, for me, I know for a fact, been an absolute game changer.
Facts.
I don't know where I would have been without my girl.
Facts.
I'm curious, when you started sharing on your social media, because the three of us love to talk about social media and trying to squash the limiting beliefs. How many followers did you have at that time?
I don't know, like 10. Like nothing, man. Nothing. I didn't even pay attention to it. Like, I didn't care. Like, I was just like, I'll just put this out here, and then if I'm supposed to put it somewhere else, God will show me where I'm supposed to put it, and I'll put it somewhere else later. And then what happened was TikTok started to become a thing, and I was like, well, maybe I'll try this TikTok thing. And I posted a video on, like, my third or fourth video on TikTok went viral, and that started to grow my following substantially. And that's kind of where the where it all started to actually grow.
Henry, what's
just to give people an idea.
That's a great question. But go ahead, Dean.
I was just going to add, just to give people an idea, as I'm looking at social media right now, you've got 143,000 on Instagram as we're doing this right now. That's what's crazy. Like, you don't know where this is going to go. If you don't share anything and just say nobody's going to watch, nobody's going to care, who's going to even, watch this thing, you're just holding yourself back. And there you were, from having a panic attack, being dead broke, to taking action and starting to share your journey. You're a host on Bigger Pockets, right? You're probably pinching yourself like, this is crazy, right?
That's me.
You have a mastermind and coaching program helping and impacting tons and tons of people, right? You're speaking on stages. You have a crazy social media following, and it all just came from a place of believing and taking action and adding value to others and just being a good person. So
that's a fact.
Credit to you, man.
I agree with you, Dean. my thought is if you feel like you've been told or given that gut feeling like you're supposed to put your message out there, but you've been scared, right?
Mhm.
And now the key is, do you feel like you've been given that vision and you're supposed to put it out there? If you're just like, I want to put it out there because I want people to see how cool I am, like that's a different story.
Yeah.
But like if you feel like you've been told you're supposed to share something and you've been scared to do it, you've got to share it, because that little voice, that thing that's telling you, like, that's God telling you, like, someone needs to hear this from you. Not someone needs to hear this, and not that someone needs to hear it from me, but everybody has an audience. There are people that are going to resonate with the three of you guys that won't resonate with me. There are people that need to hear it from you. You have this responsibility to share your message because someone's depending on you to put it out there. And if you don't put it out there, then you are hurting yourself because you're not getting the benefit or the thing that's going to come from you putting that out there. But you're hurting them because somebody's life isn't changed because you haven't done what you've been told to do. God put that on your heart. And if you put it on your heart, you got a responsibility to put it out there because you're supposed to change someone's life. Is sharing your story on social media scary? Yes. Is it risky at some level? Yeah, it can be risky. Is it, there's, I have people who look at what I do and think, boy, you're really putting yourself in a place where you could get yourself in trouble, and for me, it's not about that. For me, it's like, I feel like God's telling me to do this, and so I'm going to do it. And if, something bad happens, then he's going to get me through that too. Like it's like, I just feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I've always tried to listen to that voice, and do things for the right reason. I didn't do this because I thought I'd be on bigger pockets. Just did it because I thought that's what God wanted me to do. And so I'm gonna keep doing that.
Yep. Amen.
Bro, and you are the only person I've ever met who is 100% this genuine. A lot of people talk about this type of game, but you are 100% about everything you just said, which is what I love so much about you. I don't know if you guys can fill up the microphone, but if this is 100% him, what he's about, how big of a giver he is, and everything else.
Thank you. That means a lot, man.
But bro, what is your dream car?
I'm a car guy, man. I've always been a car guy. I get it from my dad, man. My dad always had like little sports cars when I was growing up, and I just wanted to ride around town with him in them. Like my dad, he bought my stepmom or she had one. She had a Mazda Miata, and we used to scoot around town in that thing. It was like two big old dudes scooting around a little teeny Mazda Miata, but it was so much fun. And before he was with my stepmom, he had an RX-7, and he used to scoot around town this little gold RX-7. He had a Nissan 240Z. Or 360, 240Z, and we used to scoot around. Like, it's just, he always had these little cars, and I just learned to love them because I looked up to my dad so much, and I was like, it became this thing that I loved, sports cars. And so now I drive a Corvette, 2022 Corvette Stingray, because I love driving those sports cars. I had a 2015 Mustang that I tricked out so much I was able to land a spot as a booth car at the SEMA show 2 years in a row. So I got to show my car at the biggest car show in the world 2 years in a row. And so, like, I've always been a car guy. My dream car is I'm an Aston Martin guy, man. I like the old Aston Martin Vanquish.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I love Aston Martins. I like Ferraris. I like Lamborghinis. They look cool, but I got my big ass in one day and realized that they ain't for me. Strat, they're not for me. My butt was in the seat and my forehead was on the windshield. So I was like, this ain't my thing.
Bro, Waylon has one, and he's like 6'3", and I have no idea how he fits in it.
Oh man, yeah. I got in a Aventador, and I was just like, just on the windshield, just forehead pressed. I was like, this ain't. I wasn't built for this. I wasn't built for this life. So I'm gonna stick to my Aston Martins, man.
There you go. Hell yeah, Henry, bro. Thank you so much for coming on. Bro, what are your parting words for everybody who's listening?
Oh man. Real estate is a people business. It is not a real estate business. It's a people business that transacts in real estate. If you want to be successful in real estate, find a way to add value to people, find a way to give to the people. If you can go to a networking event, don't go to that networking event looking for what you can take away from the people there that are more experienced. Go to that networking event and try to figure out a way to add value or help the people who are there. Human nature will kick in and they will help you. If you just approach every relationship that you have from a perspective of, I don't care what I get, but I'm going to give you something, you're going to have so much more in abundance than you would ever realize. I don't always make the best business decision. I'd lie if I told you guys that I was the best businessman in the rooms that I'm in. I don't consider myself a better business person than not near one of y'all. I don't always make the best business decision, but I will always try to make the best people decision. And if that people decision costs me money, I can live with that. I can sleep at night. I don't care. If I take care of people, I'm gonna be okay. And so just keep that in the forefront of your mind. I've learned that life isn't about us or what we can get. Life is about us finding a way to give the most that we can. So find a way to give. Practical advice, real estate is all about the deal. The deal is your money. Everybody wants to go out and find money, but the deal is your money. If you focus all your time, effort, and energy on figuring out how to go find a good deal, even if you don't have the money, you'll be able to get that deal done, because you'll either be able to take that deal down because somebody will give you money, or you'll be able to share that deal with an investor who will take half of that deal because you brought them a good deal, or you'll be able to sell that deal to that investor and make some money. The deal is your money. That's your ticket. That's how you're going to make money in this business. It doesn't matter what your exit strategy is. If you want to rent, flip, short-term rental, long-term rental, wholesale, if you don't have a good deal, none of those strategies work. Go figure out how to find good deals and be relentlessly consistent about pursuing that passion until you find that deal. Once you got that deal, then go figure the rest out. Nothing else is important until you get a deal. Doesn't matter who's going to renovate your house if you don't have a house for him to renovate. Doesn't matter if you had $1 million right now and no deal to buy with it, then your $1 million don't mean crap. Go find a deal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Wisdom.
I love it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and share this with your friends. Don't forget to give Henry a follow if you don't already at Henry Washington. What is your IG? Is it just Henry Washington?
At the Henry Washington.
At the Henry Washington.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Peace.